Alright, so today we're going to talk about lesson 4-6. So real quick, I have a quick intro there. You need to name the 4 ways we can prove that triangles are congruent.
Not like the conjecture?
So what are the 4 ways?
SAS?
SAS is 1. Okay, so you're out. You're good to go.
Yes.
So somebody else needs to come up with another one. SSS,
That was me.
SAS,
AAS.
AAS, which is
What is it?
also
SAA.
SAA,
And AAS.
and
I mean ASA.
SA, angle, side angle. Now remember, this one here, we can also have SAA. That means the same thing. Okay, so now today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dealing with congruent triangles. Okay, except for now we're going to look at the corresponding parts. And so one of the things I want you to remember is that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So this is something you need to file away.
What lesson are we on?
CPCTC. CPCTC. Now, if some of you are wondering where does that come from, I actually have the C, the P, the C, the T, and the C highlighted. Okay, they're in bold italicized letters. But whenever you see CPCTC, what that means, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. File that away to memory. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at some example problems. And so let's go ahead and look at this first one. This first one states, is AD congruent to BC in the figure? Use a deductive argument to explain why they must be congruent. So let's think about that. Looking at the figure, I see I've got an angle congruent to an angle, a side congruent to a side. Do you know anything else?
Vertical angles.
1 is equal to 2. Why is 1 equal to 2?
Because they're vertical angles.
They are vertical angles. So really what I can conclude is I can conclude that triangle AMD is congruent to triangle what? Now this is the easy way to do this if you're wondering what's the order. What does A correspond to in the other triangle? B. Okay. What does M correspond to in the other triangle?
M.
M. What does D correspond to?
C.
So see how we worked that out? That was real slick. So I know the triangle AMD is congruent to triangle BMC by what property?
ASA.
ASA. If those of you are wondering why is it ASA, here is your angle, here is your side, here is your angle. Okay, it's the ones right next to each other. And so now I need to say, is AD congruent to BC? Well, let me think. These triangles are exactly the same. They're congruent to each other. And so if I was to go ahead and look at that triangle, I would say, oh, well, here's your blue sides right here that are the same. I know that this side right here is the same as what side? CM. And I also know that this side is similar to CB. Ah, so is AD congruent to BC in the figure?
Yes.
Yes. So based on what we've written down, we've just got one additional piece of information. I've said that triangle AMD is congruent to triangle BMC by ASA. And then I know that AD is congruent to BC by CPCTC. Corresponding parts. Okay, the corresponding parts are AD and CB of congruent triangles. Those two triangles are congruent.
Oh.
So we don't have to write like a
Course-
paragraph.
No, so that this is what your deductive argument would be. Triangle AMD is congruent to triangle BMC by ASA. AD is congruent to BC by CPCTC. That's it. Let's look at another one.
Or short for cup.
There we go.
11.
Whoa, keep skipping on me. Let's try that again. One more. One more. There we go.
I was gonna go.
So let's look at this one. Is AE congruent to BD in the figure? Okay.
Yes.
Probably yes.
Now, right now it's probably kind of confusing to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to
You
break
have to-
this
You
up.
have to look at the big triangles inside the little ones.
I'm going to break it up and look at those triangles. Do you see what I've done?
Yeah.
I've taken out ADB and I've taken out AEB. And by doing that, it's made it a little bit easier to see. Now, is there any other sides or any other angles that I know are congruent?
A and B.
What?
A and B.
A and B what?
Oh, angle A and angle B.
Okay, these two. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying since you already know two sides are congruent, you know that those two have to be congruent. Okay,
Mhm.
you know, I could go with that. Okay, if you guys didn't catch the reasoning by Aaron, okay, you've got 180 degrees in a triangle. If you know these two are congruent, you know the third angles are going to have to be congruent. Okay. There's also something else in the triangle. Because right now we can't prove triangles are congruent, right? Because we only know angle, angle, angle. So is there anything else we know?
Oh, AB is equal to AB.
Yeah. AB, right? Oh, I knew it was going to disappear. There we go. There we go. AB is congruent to AB. Reason being that's the same segment.
Oh.
Okay? So in looking at this, I know that triangle ABD is congruent to. Now this is going to look weird. What is A the same as in triangle 2?
B.
B.
Oh, yeah.
What is B the same as in triangle 2?
A.
A. What is D the same as?
E.
E. What's the reason? There's quite a few.
AAS.
AAS would work because I could go angle, angle side, that will work. I could also have angle side angle.
Side
Okay.
angles. Side angle. No, wait, that's already there. Never mind.
Those are your only two options. And so then do we know that is AE congruent to BD?
Absolutely.
Yes. Why?
Because of the CPCTC.
CPCTC. Okay. So if you can prove the triangles are congruent, then the corresponding parts will be congruent. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at number 1 in your book before I let you go on to your assignment. By the way, here's your assignment 1 through 11. But let's get you started correctly. Okay, so there is your assignment. I'm going to go ahead and move that up so I can have room here. And then I'm going to go ahead and do number 1. We're going to get you started. So number 1, here we go. A, B, C, D. So here's A, here's B, here's C, here's D. Now let's fill in what we know. We know that what is congruent to what?
A and C.
A and C are the same, so that's what we're going to mark. That's where we're going to start. We know that ABD is congruent to CBD. So we know this is congruent to this. Now we want to see, is AB congruent to CB? Okay, so in looking at the triangle, is there anything else I can conclude based on looking at it?
Oh, the angle in the middle bisects, so it's the same for both triangles, kind of.
The line down the center
Yeah,
is
that's what I
congruent to
meant.
itself.
Ah, there you go.
That's-
So
I-
here's
that's-
A, B, D. This is D, this is B, and this is C. So if you didn't catch what they said, that is congruent to itself. That's the same line, right?
That's what I was-
So I can conclude that those two triangles are congruent by what property? Angle,
AAS?
angle, side. Yep, angle, angle,
Side
side.
angle.
So now can you conclude that AB is congruent to CB?
Yes.
Yes, by
CP.
CTC. Good. So that's what you're gonna have to do on every problem. You're gonna have to break it down. You're gonna have to write down what they give you. Then you're gonna have to write down what can you conclude. Then you're gonna have to write down whether or not that the given congruent statement can be determined. Yes?
Do we have to write out the letters and everything, put something
Would
from
you accept this?
No?
We could put the side angle side or whatever it is.
I need to see, how are the triangles congruent? Yes or no for your answer. And then CPCTC,
What do you mean how the triangles are congruent?
like
Angle
what you
side,
have your
side.
very first answer.
Oh,
So-
angle side.
Okay, so your assignment for tomorrow, 1 through 11.